So we're about to get married, right?
Okay, I'll think myself back to.
Yeah. So we had already got the apartment,
Mm.
and I was living in it for a couple months before you moved down to Gainesville.
No, move down to West Palm.
Sorry, down to West Palm.
Yeah.
And then I was gonna move back in with my sister once you got down here, because obviously we weren't gonna live in the same apartment
Until we were married.
until we were married. And you and your dad and your grandfather pull up with a U-Haul.
Yeah. So
And tell people what you were expecting marriage to be like versus what you saw that day.
so remember, like I lived on my own for 2 years before we got married.
Never had siblings that were close to her age.
No, my only sibling is 15 years younger than I am. So when we got married, he was like 7.
Yeah.
Um, and at the time I was already out of my parents' house. Like I never really moved fully back home after I graduated from college. I moved into a small rental house that my grandmother owned. I was very fortunate. And I made it was like a little 1 bedroom, 1 bath situation,
Yeah.
tiny little house that I turned into my little cottage in the woods, right? So it was full of like all my little cozy old lady stuff because like secretly I'm 85 inside. And it was full of like yarn and books and art supplies and cookware and whatever. And I had this whole collection. I had a hope chest.
And a cat.
I had a china cabinet full of china that I had been given as like part of like a legit trousseau because apparently my family's like way more traditionally Southern than I realized. Like I had a china pattern that somebody picked out for me, and I had a hope chest full of linens that were monogrammed and like all this different stuff. So I'm ready to go make a home. Right. I'm gonna go down to West Palm and make a home with this man. Love of my life. And I get down there and I open the door of this apartment and I am greeted with the smell of dank boy. Like that's all I can describe.